Well, hello there, my fellow Doombots and Laverian citizens, and welcome to Journey to Doomsday, where, in anticipation to Avengers Doomsday, we will be rambling, recapping, and ranking every single movie inside of the MCU. Maybe also series. It depends on how much time I got for all of this stuff. The movie of this week will be Thor, that came out in 2011. Before we get into it, please like, comment, and doomscribe or be doomed. Well, let's start off with the ramble. First of all, I want to let y'all know that this movie also has a very special place in my heart because Thor was actually the very first DVD I bought with my own money. So I was really happy to purchase this DVD of Thor, and I watched it so many times, but eventually it got lost in the wind, so I have to get myself a new copy. Of course, Thor followed up the success of both the Iron Man movies and that Incredible Hulk movie, which, in my opinion, they're all pretty amazing freaking movies. It came out in May 6th of 2011, and it was a modest box office success. On a budget of 150 million, it made about 450 million worldwide, a little bit less than that, but I think it still made its money back. With a runtime of 1 hour and 55 minutes. In the same year, Ryan Gosling would also release his infamous Green Lantern movie that came out on June 17th, 2011. Yeah, look at that dude. Yeah, Ryan Gosling was not happy with that failure of his. Captain America would come out the month after Shrek the movie on July 22nd of 2011. So this was really the last year before Marvel would bring out the big guns with the Avengers. The Thor movie would actually go through a lot of directors. Sam Raimi, the director of Spider-Man, also tried to make this movie together with Stan Lee in the 90s, and he said the following about it: "After I did Darkman, Stan Lee called me and was like, 'Hey kid, I liked your movie.' The director said at the time, he took me out to lunch and said we should work together. I said I'd like to make a movie about Thor. We worked together writing treatments and took it to Fox and pitched it. And they said, absolutely not. Comic books don't make good movies." So yeah, they rejected Sam Raimi. Guillermo del Toro also almost got to do Thor, but I think it would have been a really freaky Thor, really dark and twisted take on the character. It would have been interesting to see like Thor in a kind of Hellboyish universe, but he chose to opt out of the Thor picture and focus on The Hobbit, which is, in my opinion, a horrible trilogy of movies. I really do not like The Hobbit. Like the book, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I think that The Hobbit is really a waste. Matthew Vaughn, who stepped away from the Thor project to do X-Men First Class, a movie which, as far as I can remember, is pretty freaking good. But eventually they would choose for the directing prowess of Kenneth Branagh. And I think that Kenneth Branagh actually was the right choice, because he had more of a Shakespearean twist to him. All of his movies were more old school dramas with more flamboyant elements, more theatrical elements in them. So I think that he was the right choice to direct this one. My guilty pleasure are all of his Hercule Poirot movies. I think that he's just sublime in that role, and I think he also is directing those. So every time he plays Hercule Poirot, I will be watching it. Another standout is, of course, the cast. Tom Hiddleston as Loki and Chris Hemsworth as Thor. They are just perfect for these roles. It even feels like they were born to play these parts. Not to mention Anthony Hopkins, the Oscar winner, who some of you might not even know, but portrayed a crazy psychopathic killer in Silence of the Lambs. But he's just such an amazing actor, and getting him as Odin in the Thor Marvel movie, it is just, whoa, it is just so freaking awesome. Watching Odin bouncing off Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, what a joy. And something that's pretty funny is that actually Tom Hiddleston went into audition for the role of Thor, but they said like, yo, come on, we both know you gotta be Loki. Come on, look at him. Don't paint your hair blonde. You are perfect for Loki, and they were 100% right. For the role of Thor, there were so many different castings, like Charlie Hunnam from that bike show. You got the son of Skarsgård, one of the Skarsgård brothers. Rick Flag is in here, the brother of freaking Chris Hemsworth. Liam Hemsworth was in there. Daniel Craig stepped away from the role because he was playing Bond, and I don't know, I don't think he can do the same thing that Chris Hemsworth did to the role, because Chris Hemsworth really was an unknown. But imagine being, because Chris Hemsworth's younger brother is Liam, and he almost got the part, but they just said like, yo, he's just too young, we cannot cast him as Thor. So that's pretty freaking, that might be a harsh blow, but I think they're fine. To be honest, I know why they cast Thor, you know. It is just because of his acting talent. It is the physicality he brings to the role, just how he embodies this character from the ground up. It is just immaculate. He is Thor, you know. Ooh, damn, I didn't know how those got there. That was a little bit too much. Supposedly, this movie did have a script, or at least more of a finished script than the previous 3 movies we've talked about. This movie did have a script, and you can really feel it. Kenneth Branagh, also coming from his Shakespearean theatrical background, really made this feel real. Like, whoa, seeing Odin here, just amazing. The cast is just so good once again. We get Idris Elba, before he really blew up as Heimdall. Just amazing, and that you got him in this role. I like the Furious 3 or the Furious 4 because Sif joins them. Also love the fact that Ray Stevenson is in this movie as Valgor or Valdor. Just some kind of dwarf warrior. I think it's pretty sick because, in my opinion, he is the #1 Punisher. He's the most brutal, he's the sickest. Keira Knightley, this cute girl in the middle, and the Baron from Dune. Like, it's a killer cast. Like, I'm not the best at names, but all of these people are just amazing actors. Like, from the beginning, the MCU always had great actors. It's just top-notch stuff all around. Let's just start recapping because I'm rambling way too much here. Well, let's talk about Thor. Before we get into it, this is gonna be a bunch of spoilers for a movie that came out I don't know how many years ago. I'm starting to lose the gears in my mind. I'm getting old, son. There's kids that are born. They were born after the MCU even started. It's freaking crazy. I'm an old hat now. But yeah, the movie starts with some kind of flashback where they talk about the Frost Giants tried to take over the 9 realms, and then Odin stopped them from destroying Earth, and they took the ice box that had a 6-pack of beer back to the land of what's it called? Gandalf land? No, Asgard. They took the ice box back to Asgard. One eternity later, then we pick up to the gang in the Scooby-Doo van. Jane Foster driving around like a maniac chasing tornadoes. And then out of the sky, you got the God of Thunder, buddy, who gets tased by the intern, which is a very funny scene. What? He was freaking me out, man. Then we get another flashback, and we see how beautiful Asgard is. Like, the #1 thing about this movie is, I think this is the very best depiction of Asgard. It really feels godly. It feels beautiful. It feels otherworldly. I really love the depiction of Asgard. I wish we would have gotten more of that in this movie. It would have been sick, but maybe that would have blown the budget out of proportion. I just love how Asgard looks with the rainbow bridge and everything, just fully embracing Thor. Whoa, he just looks sick in this costume with his red cape and his helmet. Makes me want to pick up an old school Thor comic, and damn, the charisma on Hemsworth. He's winking at me and he's making my robot cheeks blush, baby. Then you got some goofy goobers, these icy smurfs trying to steal the box of eternal winter, and the destroyer pulls up. Man, this destroyer is freaking sick, man. He blasts these dudes. Like, he destroyed these ice walkers before you can say Arya Stark, man. He smashed these dudes to pieces. It was crazy because damn, this city buster, 100 megaton blast power, he just one-shot at those icy smurfs. It was crazy. And then he just returns to his little chill spot like he's a Tesla bot that has to charge up again before doing the dishes. Odin is just laughing about it, like, who cares? Those free icicles, they got melted, fool. Thor, just keep it on the down low, relax. No need to go to Jotunheim and make a big fuss about it. But Thor is like, no, I'm gonna make a big fuss about it. Oh yeah, you got all this crazy gunk in Odin's vault, and this is supposedly the eye in the orb of Agamotto. The orb of Agamotto. The thing that Doctor Strange has around his neck that he uses to tell Tony Stark that there's only one moment in time, you better lose it and let the dues it. You know what I'm talking about, okay? Hela would later reveal that a bunch of stuff in this vault is actually fake, like the Infinity Gauntlet that we saw there. But the one thing that is real is the fire of Surtur that is used to go full Ragnarok on Asgard later, but we'll get into that. Like, I don't know how many movies later, but I'm pretty hyped to watch Ragnarok again after watching the first Thor movie. But my expectations are pretty high for Ragnarok after watching Thor again, because I gotta be honest, I'm gonna tell you right now, I really like Thor, man. It's a pretty sick movie. Odin tells Thor, like, yo, step down, son. Don't go to Ice World. Don't go to Snow Planet and be a dickhead. Just chill out. Don't do it, man. Chill out. See what I did there? But Thor's like, I'm not doing it. I'm pulling up with my homies. And we're going to Heimdall, and we're being like, yeah, we're gonna go to this ice planet, and we're gonna kick some dirt in your eyes, son. And Heimdall's like, sure, I wanna know how these three icy goobers got past me. So you go to Jotunheim and you go question this fool so he doesn't step on my territory. Those are his words, not mine. Oh, whoa, yeah, this looks so sick. I love how they made this look in the movie when Thor and his furious foursome and Loki pull up to Jotunheim. It just looks lit AF. This is a water slide I would love to go down on. That sounded weird. Let's move on. You got Papa Smurf here being like, hey, you think you can come in my house and tell me how I run my town? That's pretty damn disrespectful. I gotta stop with these weird references that nobody will get. Thor does his big speech. How did your traitors get into the house? Man, Chris Hemsworth was really committed in this movie. He did really good. But eventually, Papa Smurfs calms him down. But then one goofy goober makes a stupid freaking comment telling Thor, run back home, little princess. Sounded like a southern cowboy up in this bitch. And Thor goes like, okay, let's get it. And he just smacks the F out of all these icy goober. I'm just gonna say goobers the whole time, but the frost giants, okay? So he smashes all these frost giants and he's doing fucking damage, man. He's whacking these fools. It's pretty sick, man. I really like this scene. The one thing I don't like is that it's so dark and stuff, but it wouldn't make sense. It's like a frost planet. There wouldn't be any like sun and stuff, but would have been nice if there was a little bit more light so I could see better how he's smacking and smashing these ice blocks. Thor's just having fun in the beginning, but the moment he starts using lightning, he is lighting these fools up like the freaking Emperor. Like, they don't stand a freaking chance against Thor. But his Furious Four, like these dudes that just follow him into battle, I don't even know why. They are getting freaking murked and impaled. Oh yeah, you get this scene where Loki gets touched by a frost giant and you find out that Loki is actually a frost giant. That's a part that I totally forgot, that Loki is actually also part Na'vi. Yeah, they totally glossed over that. Did they ever use that in a different MCU movie or series? Does this come back in the Loki show? I don't really think so. Turns out that Laufey is actually the father of Loki. Makes sense if you like listen to the names. And some people say his actual mother is Hela. I don't know. What the fuck? Wait, I don't even know why I put this in there. That's some BS, man. I don't think so. But it would make sense that he looks like a human, right? If his mother was Hela and his father was Laufey, man. Laufey and Kate Blanchett? Yeah, man. Ooh, Laufey got some game, man. If he could pull Hela, that'd be crazy. Laufey and his Smurfs are getting effed up, so he calls out this crazy orc dog, pit bull looking MFer the F shit up. And yeah, you think that the Fast and Furious 5 are messed up, and then Thor pulls up with a one-shot kill, the 360 no scope, leave a hole in the back of your head. Thor and his buddies, they're all surrounded, and there's nothing really they can do about it because they're at the edge of a cliff, and you got all these icy smurfs surrounding them. All these frost giants gonna mess them up. But luckily for them, Odin shows up on his 8-legged horse. This 8-legged horse looks pretty crazy. I didn't even know it was there until I watched the video about it. And yeah, he's on this 8-legged horse. This is just a crazy story. I'm gonna read this because I read this a couple times and still don't know what the F this is supposed to be. Origin. Loki had hastily agreed to let a frost giant rebuild the wall around Asgard in exchange for the moon, the sun, and Freya. Okay. Only he had to do it in 6 months. The frost giant had only asked to use his grey stallion, Svaldrivari. What? Right as the last brick was about to be placed, Loki transformed into a beautiful white mare and lured Svaldrivari off. Loki later gave birth to Sleipnir. What? So this is actually the son or daughter of Loki. So Loki gave birth to this 8-legged horse. Is that MCU canon? Man, that's crazy, man. This is actually insane. That would gross me out. That would piss me right off if I was 4 as well. Like, what's going on? Thor has a big shouting match with his dad, and his dad's like, "You're unworthy, Thor," and he strips him of all stuff. Like, this has to be like one of my favorite scenes in the MCU. So powerful. How he gets disowned by his own father and then banished from Asgard to Earth. Just love this scene. I think this is so well done, so well acted. I love that both Chris Hemsworth and Anthony Hopkins pull no punches. And that's, of course, how he got to Earth. And that's the end of the flashback. Thor wakes up in the hospital. I love this part where just start beating the F out of House and all of his doctors. Pretty sick. He walks out of the hospital and gets hit by a car. Once again, I just love how he gets unconscious. Like, Thor is getting his ass whooped. He gets banished, tasered, hit by a car like multiple times. He's basically like the Donald Duck version of Thor in this movie. He's really down bad on his luck, but I love it. I love it. Jane Foster's immediately awestruck because, ooh la la, is this magic Thor? Are you happy to see me, or is that a hammer in your pants? Okay, let's cut this out. Take it easy, Doombot. Take it easy. Thor shows this picture of like a tree of all the realms, and I was like, hey, does this have anything to do with Loki and how he has a big tree that he's protecting and he might come back in Avengers Doomsday? But I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. And this scene is funny where it's like, another, and he destroys the cup when he's drinking it. Good scene. I like the scene. And then he overhears 2 truckers talking about this satellite, which is, of course, the hammer of Thor. I'm not talking about that hammer he got in his pants, because goddamn, Chris Hemsworth be packing. Oh man, Stan Lee cameo. Always love a Stan Lee cameo. So good. Just, I can rewatch this all day. I miss the Stan Lee cameos. Those were the better days. Once again, let's shout out Stan Lee. Along with artist Jack Kirby and writer Larry Lieber, Stan Lee created the Marvel Comics version of the character. They introduced Thor in Journey into Mystery issue 83 in August of 1962. Lee was the editor who came up with the initial concept, while Kirby was the primary artist who helped visualize the character. Lieber wrote the script for the first issue, so shout out the man, Stan Lee. Excelsior! Yeah, and this is him once again with Sam Raimi, because they wanted to make a Thor movie in the 90s, but sadly that didn't happen, but I'm still happy he got his cameo, so that's sick. Thor's hammer is surrounded by this crazy ass shield base, which is just basically some ET ass looking tubes. Son of Cool is on the phone, and he's taking all of Jane Foster's stuff without any apologies. He's just taking your shit. I love when Thor walks into a patch up and he's like, "Yo, I need a horse." And this goober right here, he might have the best performance of the whole movie. Like, man, I love how this dude looks. He looks like a cross between Bob Ross and Larry David. I gotta see this guy return. I need a Marvel one-shot with this dude, you know. Jane Foster picks up Thor again. It's not only because he got abs, but it's because he can help her get her stuff back. So they hop in the mystery machine, and Thor breaks into this big chubby warehouse, and he beats the crap out of a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And he makes all of these highly trained assassins look like a bunch of Girl Scouts until he walks into Kingpin from the original Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. This is a crazy fight scene. I just love how Thor's just running around like a madman. Hawkeye is already here, getting ready for his Avengers movie, and he's ready to take Thor out. Coulson tells him to stand down, but sadly, the arrow slips out of Hawkeye's hand, and he kills Thor there on the spot. No, that's just a what if, a shitty what if thing. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of what if, but I know that that's something that happened in a what if. Whatever. Should I watch What If? Let me know in the comments down below if I should watch it. I don't think I should watch it. I think What If's kind of shitty. So far, yeah, I watched a couple episodes. I was not impressed with your performance. Coulson's there looking like a sharp gentleman. Man, I miss Coulson, man. I wish we had more Coulson in these new Marvel movies, man. I would have loved to see Coulson show up in that new movie of Captain America, which was basically the Incredible Hulk 2. Thor tries to lift the hammer, but he is unworthy. He's not able to do it. He almost shits his pants while trying to rip this hammer out, but it's not working. And then he does this crazy like rah scream. I love how Hemsworth commits in this movie. Like, this has to be one of my favorite performances of an actor. Like, I love Hemsworth. He 100% commits to this role. I love Hemsworth as Thor, and there hasn't been a single moment where I have not liked Thor. Like, the characters all over the place, I agree, but that's also part of him. He's an extreme, crazy, bipolar, emotional dude, man. I love him for it. Hawkeye doesn't believe in picking up the hammer because it's a trick. Yeah, and Thor doesn't like that. That makes him nervous. Got Loki and Odin, and Loki's holding the ice box filled with a six-pack of Duff Light because he wants to show Odin that he is actually a Smurf, and Odin thinks that's so traumatic because Loki yells at him like, "Father, I know I am actually frost giant. Why did you take me away? Why did you take me away?" And I don't know. Odin cannot take the heat, so he just goes for a nice little winter sleep. Part of the origin was that Loki was like a little baby, and that Odin took him as a bargaining chip. That's pretty messed up, man. Just taking the son. He was literally the son of the enemy's king. That's crazy, man. Odin's a pretty bad dude. But yeah. Hashtag convenient Odin sleep. Man, I wish I could have more convenient naps like that. If somebody's like getting angry at me, and just go for a little nap. See you next winter, my dude. Next summer, that'd be nicer. Wake up at summer. Me falling into Odin sleep until Avengers Doomsday comes out. Yeah. Hashtag I need Tom Hiddleston sitting by my bedside too. So Son of Cool is interrogating this mud wrestling Thor goober and asking him all these questions like, "Hey, what are you, fucking from Israel? Huh? What are you doing here? What, you got this crazy training? Huh? What you know about Epstein?" And Thor ain't answering shit because he ain't no snitch. And then Loki pulls up, and Loki's like, "Hey, Thor, Mom hates you and you suck," and something else. And he tries to pick up the hammer, but he cannot pick up the hammer. Yeah, you know that Loki's still a slimy snake, slithering looking ass mofo. Yeah, I love that part later in the movie where Thor just casually puts the hammer on his chest, like, "Bye, Felicia." Loki tries to make a secret pact with Laufey. Laufey's like, "Whoa, you're my son? That ain't too bad." And he's trying to... The deal is that he's gonna help Laufey kill Odin, which is pretty sick, man. If your son just got kidnapped and he just shows up and like, "Yo, let's take this guy out," I would be like, "Yeah, man, good plan, son. Welcome back to the family." Yeah, he has his alliance with Laufey's son. Loki and his mother are sitting by his bedside, and Loki is really playing with the heart fiddles there. This is a comic accurate panel. Like, this is exactly what he looks like in the book. Like, Odin's sleep is something that also happens in the comics. The frightful Thor pull up to Loki and are like, hey, can you please unbanish Thor? And Loki's like, I cannot unbanish Thor. That was my father's last commandment. We are at the brink of war. I must not go against him. Man, he's really loving that role of being the ruler of Asgard, you know. He's not a humble dude. But this free goober's like, you know what? We're gonna go behind our king's back. Gonna show up to Heimdall and be like, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go get Thor because we know where he is. He's on Earth. So these dudes show up to that little town and they're like, yo, what's up? Like, they have cool outfits, man. I really like their outfits. There's a lot of attention to details to these dudes. Really like these guys. I hope that they come along for the ride for a long time in the MCU. They're pretty cool. Loki pulls up with the big gun. He puts his crazy rabbit destroyer on Thor, and the destroyer pulls up and just destroys all of the SHIELD agents. Destroys this little town. By the way, they built this entire town in the behind the scenes footage. You see them building it. That's pretty crazy, man. Pretty awesome. And this movie actually only takes place in Asgard, Jotunheim, and this little town, but so far so good. I think that it is actually a pretty nice little contained story, but they did a good job on it. The destroyer is like destroying stuff, and it almost kills the Asgardian Punisher, but he right in time gets saved by Sif. But then oh yeah, I love the part where the destroyer gets impaled and then just turns around to try to blast Sif in the face. That is just freaking awesome, man. I love this part. I think that the destroyer might be like my favorite part of this Thor movie, and I really like the Thor movie. And then Thor has to be a hero. He has to be a hero. Pulls up to the destroyer. Is like, hey, you want me? Come for me. Thor gives his entire speech to his brother. Like, brother, please. I understand that we may have our differences, but let these people live. Great job by Chris Hemsworth, because he was really selling it. I might sound sarcastic, but I thought that he did a great job. I'm serious. I love this part. And this part is so messed up where the destroyer just looks like he's going away, and then he gives it a freaking backhand. Oh, man. Every time it gets me. Even though I know it's coming, that backhand just gets me every single time. Just see Thor flailing around. Thor, of course, becomes Thor again. And with the power of Odin, he turns into a really handsome devil. And then he destroys the destroyer, beats him up. It's a pretty short-lived fight because he just grabs his hammer and shoves it down the destroyer's face, and then he blows up his head, but still satisfying. What had a good build-up, and I thought that the destroyer was really well handled in this movie. Then you get the notebook moment that almost every MCU movie needs to have, a nice little kiss between Jane Foster and Mr. Bleached Eyebrows over there. Son of Cool tries to debrief Thor, and Thor's like, yo, you better give my lady her stuff back, because otherwise I'm gonna shove a lightning bolt up your ass. And Son of Cold just has to deal with it. Son of Cold, that's what I'm calling it from now on. Loki freezes Heimdall, so that Heimdall cannot bring Thor back. And Papa Smurf, what's his name, Laufey, is trying to kill Odinson. But right before he does it, Loki shoots him in the back and then destroys him and says, and your death came by the son of Odin. I still don't really know what the motivations were for Loki. It was kind of all over the place. Was he trying to help his father or not help his father? He's just constantly double-crossing. I kind of don't know what his motivation is, but maybe that's just kind of Loki. He's just all over the place. Well, however he's feeling. Some people say there's some deleted scenes that can explain it, but I don't know. I just accept it as Loki just likes to double-cross. It's just double-cross, double-cross, double-cross. You never know with this little horned fellow. Thor shows up and Loki's like, yeah, let's have a fight. Sorry for that. That was a little bit too loud. Out of nowhere, Loki turns the Rainbow Bridge into the freaking Asgardian Death Star. So I don't know how this works or whatever, but I guess there's a switch on this teleportation bridge that can literally destroy entire worlds. This is super overpowered, but you have this crazy kung fu fighting between Thor and his little bro, the Green Goober. And Loki's doing all of his tricks, teleporting, being his old mysterious self. And therefore it's like, yo, sit your ass down, little bro. Here's a hammer on your chest. Thor just smashes the entire bridge to stop Jotunheim from getting destroyed and get a big explosion and a beam in the sky. Damn, man, what's happening to me? Loki tries to reason with his father. I could have done it, father. I could have done it, father. I could have done it. For you. For all of us. And then Odin is like, no, shut up. Shut up, you nerd. Which leads to Loki doing his T-pose in space. Just pulling up with the... Okay. When homie leaves the group chat. Bleached blonde Thor tells his father that he's gonna make him proud, which of course Odin's like, no cap, for real, Odin, you know. And back on Earth, because Thor can never reach freaking Earth again because the rainbow bridge is broken or something. On Earth, Jane Foster is just dreaming of her blonde prince. Ooh. That's what she's dreaming of. She's dreaming of those beautiful abs. Oh man, I cannot wait to watch Thor: The Dark World just to see those shiny abs again. You know, maybe I don't have to wait that long because you get this post-credit scene where Eric Selvig says, "What's up, Nick Fury?" And Nick Fury shows him a case that has, I think, the Tesseract in there, which is the Mind Stone or just the Infinity Gem. And they find out that Loki is actually alive. How? I don't know. Loki is always alive. He dies every other movie, which is of course a teaser to the Avengers where Loki is the bad guy. So I kind of wait for that. And next movie I'm going to be talking about in Journey to Doomsday will be Captain America: The First Avenger. Yeah, man. Pretty hyped to rewatch this one again. Okay, but now let's rank this movie. I think that Thor is a good movie. I would give it 4 out of 5 Dooms. And I think it's a solid entry into the MCU. In my movie rankings to Journey to Doomsday, I would rank it number 3 behind Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, but above Iron Man 2. In my villain ranking on my Journey to Doomsday, I would rank Loki number 1 above Obadiah Stane, Emil Blonsky, and Ivan Vanko. With my scene ranking, I would also rank it number 4 below the Iron Man suit up, and I think that's kind of valid. In the post-credits, I would also rank this number 4 because, I don't know, I just don't think that this post-credit scene is as cool as Thor's hammer or Tony Stark and Thunderbolt Ross or the first time that we saw Nick Fury. So it's kind of repetitive, and maybe it's just because I know that Loki's already alive that I'm not like, oh my god, Loki's back! You know, so I'm fine with it. I'm fine with my ranking. If you disagree, if you have a different take on that, it's all cool. Let me know in the comments down below what your ranking is of Phase 1. I'm almost through all of them, ranked all of those. So, yeah. I like this series. I like what I'm doing here, and I'm gonna keep on doing these. I'm trying to do 1 a week. Hopefully one day I can get to 2 a week. That'll be dope, but we'll see about that. Please like, comment, and doomscribe. Doombot out, and have yourself a happy Doomsday.